I hate stagnancy. If something stays the same for too long, I have to get involved, even if it doesn't concern me. And for me, things don't need to move forward, they just need to move. When you live in one spot your entire life but have an itching desire for change, the only thing you can do is rearrange your room. So, from 1st to 5th grade, I lived in a decently sized room, with the exception of the one time I decided to live in the linens closet. See that bottom level? I lived there for about a week and a half because I prefer sleeping in enclosed spaces. By 6th grade, I had rearranged my room as much as I could. Each piece of furniture had changed location at least once a year. After running out of ideas for this room, I decided that it was time for a more drastic change. So I moved into the closet. What was once a fairly large closet is now an extremely small bedroom. I started rearranging this room as much as the last one, up until 2 years ago, when I finally found what I wanted. I converted my bed into a slightly larger version of the linen closet I lived in for a week and a half, and decided that it was the type of room which I had been hunting for 10 years. Everything I consider important has now been squished into 16 small boxes, which I sleep right next to. The rest of my room, with the exception of where I keep my clothes, is really just decoration. I even have a box for school. While I love change, I love hoarding way more. I have a lingering fear that I'm going to end up in one of those reality shows about hoarding, and it's pretty evident in my abundance of collections. After years of scholastic book fairs and taking books from the lost and found, even though I'm not quite sure if that's allowed, I accumulated enough books to take up every one of my 16 shelves, but I moved half of them into boxes which my mom made me move to the attic. It's a collection which keeps on growing, and growing, and growing, and growing, and growing, until it topples over. While I continue obtaining books, my focus has shifted more towards collecting physical copies of movies, even though I watch everything online. I have a few shows which don't overpower my collection. Then there are the movies I've purchased from $4 movie boxes at supermarkets. Then there are the Blu-ray discs. Then the movies that I wanted to own my own copy of because I realized I wouldn't have the family copy after I move out. And then there are the Coen Brother films. I have 14 of those. Soon, they're gonna have to have their own box. My movie ticket collection sits behind my laptop thing. Every time I go to see a movie and don't lose the ticket, I pin it to the back of the box. I'll stop doing it when I either run out of push pins or run out of room. One is bound to happen soon. Some of my collections have been much less successful. There's the thimble collection, to name one, which is growing, but at snail pace. I started in 7th grade with the intention of traveling a lot, but never got very far. The collection is kind of pathetic, and it didn't even really make it into any of my boxes. Anything outside my bed is just for decoration. There's the white walls, which I covered in movie and TV posters, and the instruments I own but never actually learned. I don't really use anything outside my boxes, so if it's not in a box, it's not that important to me. Everything outside the bed is depressing, except for my wall of quotes. Every time I hear or read something I love, I write it in the wall. I try to keep the bottom section open for doodling. Also, poop drawn by Wendy Young and another drawn by a kid I babysit who tried to replicate Wendy Young. For the first time in my life, I feel as though I have a room which I could sit comfortably in and feel as though it's mine. Every time I altered my room, I was looking for a way to make it look like more than just a bedroom. When I made my bed into a box, I started ignoring everything outside it and just stopped changing things. The books next to my bed give me asthma as a result of the dust they accumulate, and sometimes things fall and hit me in the middle of the night, making me scream because I think there's a robber or something. But that's totally alright with me. I'm happy with where I am in my room.